I'm with Father Joseph from Nigeria. Father Joseph, you're very welcome.
Thank you very much. Niall.
Is this your first time in Ireland?
No, I've been here before to do a course on formation. This was like 9 years ago.
Lovely.
In a place called Loreto House. And I did something also in Milltown College
Yes,
with the
the
Jesuits
Jesuits.
for a few months. And then that's it. That's my experience of Ireland. Yeah.
Okay. Tell me a little about your vocation, how you discerned your vocation and came to realize that you wanted to be a priest.
I come from a city called Calabar in southern Nigeria. The Kiltigan Fathers, or the St. Patrick's missionaries, worked there many years ago. So my secondary school was in a minor seminary where I got in touch with the rector, Father Patrick Cochran. He's from County Louth. And I liked the work he did with us in the school. He was, it was hands-on type of a missionary experience. He was the principal, but he, played football and, he taught us many things about life and growing up. And I liked his dedication. So I thought, look, one day I would like to do this for, for other people, other young people. I thought it was a good work to do, So I lost that desire then, but I went on to do tertiary education. And after that, I thought I would honor that call that I had as a young boy. And that was the time the St. Patrick's Fathers were accepting international vocations because they were exclusively Irish, for many years, So that year I joined as a Nigerian, and there were Kenyans as well, and Zambians and Malawians joining as well, So that is how it began. And yes, there were some rough times in this seminary training, but somehow I think God still held out the light, and convinced me that, look, this is where you're supposed to be, And so that's why I'm here. I've been ordained for 11 years, and I've worked in Kenya mostly, and some few years in Nigeria, as well in the past 11 years, and it has been good. It has been a good experience. Yeah.
Good. As we talk to priests, it's obvious there's a definite link in relation to vocations between, they all talk about family,
Yes.
the nurturing of the family, and a good priest.
Exactly.
Those two combined seem to spark vocations.
That's true, yeah.
Tell me about Nigeria. It's a turbulent country these days.
Yes, Nigeria has a difficult history. We are a collection of many tribes and many types of nations, So it's difficult to keep us together. Right now there's a rift between the north and the south. The north would be mostly Muslim, and the south would be mostly Christians, And thanks to the likes of the Spiritan Fathers, who came early on to evangelize, and spread the word, So the Christian faith is strong in the south, right? But again, the Arabs came from the north and evangelized as well, So we are like two countries in one, really.
Yes.
So that brings a lot of suspicion, between north and south, So on the religious side, we have that conflict. Economically, we are struggling. We do have oil, but the oil money is not spent, evenly among people. So that brings a lot of problems and corruption, But right now, the problem we are having that is on everybody's mind is that there are herdsmen, carrying their cows and cattle around the country, and they get violent. They kind of throw out farmers from their farms, and they're doing this a lot in the south, So there's a lot of tension, and you heard of the Boko Haram group. Yes. And all that. So that has also caused a lot of bloodshed. So the country is in fear, and the elections are coming up next year, and we are just hoping that we would have a government that can, address the situation. So violence and insecurity is a big problem for us, as well as infrastructure. But the church is striving, I'd say. There are big numbers, and hopefully we can also live according to the word of Christ. Love one another. Turn the other cheek once every while. And live in peace. So that's the way things are.
Are there difficulties for Christians to practice their faith in any way?
There are difficulties for Christians, especially those who are in the middle belt and those who are in the north. Before the Biafran War, which was back in the mid-60s, there were lots of Christians practicing their faith freely in the north, you know. But then, because of circumstances, there was, you know, a backlash against Southerners living in the north. So they all had to come down. So in the south is fine, but practicing one's faith in the north is a difficult thing. We have St. Patrick's priests who are working in the north of the country, and they do talk about the fear of worshipping freely. You know, sometimes churches are bombed, you know. One cannot easily go about evangelizing their faith. We have to evangelize by our deeds, our way of life, you know, which is also a good way of evangelizing. And they've attracted some Muslims, you know, to join the Christian faith, you know.
Okay.
Yeah. So that's how it is, you know. It is.
Okay. You've been working in formation
Yes,
in seminary. Tell me
yeah.
about that.
I was surprised to be called to do formation work. You know, I had just done 2 or 3 years in parish work in the north of Kenya. I think what I liked about it was that I saw young people who, and I knew where they were. I knew what they were struggling with, you know, with the modern world, you know, relationships, technology, maybe difficult family situations and things, you know. And being able to empathize with them and work with them as a fellow young African, you know, has been good. The difficulty is being loyal to my society of St. Patrick's and trying to make sure that they have the best priests, but there are no perfect priests, you know. So a young man comes in with his dreams, you know, for life, and you're trying to, well, break it down to him that, look, the life of the priest has a lot of demands and sacrifices, you know, and some of them have ideals which may not be in line with what the society wants, and sometimes you have to maybe suggest to a young man to leave and do something else with his life, which is, I find, very difficult.
Yes.
At the same time, I have hope that some people, even though they are not perfect, somehow in their experience as priests on the missions, they kind of align themselves with what the gospel wants us to do and what our society, St. Patrick's, particularly wants them to do, and that is mission work, bringing Christ to places where Christ has not been known of before. I sometimes feel the weight of conscience, trying to introduce celibacy to young men, knowing that it can be very, very difficult, you know, giving them the impression that, look, you can be a very happy celibate when I know it's difficult. You know, that is the one pain I always have, you know.
Okay.
But somehow God has a way of looking after them and consoling them in their loneliness, but keeping them happy for the work that they do, you know.
Okay. Are vocations plentiful, or are there problems?
For Nigeria, yes. In the south of Nigeria, for some reason, I think we are a very populous nation. We are about 180 million people, so there's lots of young vocations around, you know, especially the east of Nigeria, you know. Some parts of the country, there are fewer. I can't say the same for East Africa and Central Africa. Theirs is a little bit different. They are less populous, you know. But for the southeast Nigeria, there's lots of young people who would like to join out the priesthood, and some of them are over here in Europe, you know. After having been ordained as diocesan priests, they have been asked to go to Europe to work, you know.
Okay.
So for Nigeria, yes, there's lots of vocation, yeah.
Excellent, that's wonderful. I believe you are moving now into a new challenge.
Yes,
You're taking up promotions.
Yes, promotions, yeah, yes.
What will you be doing there?
The work of promotions is to, well, visit parishes, meet people, and tell them about the mission work in general, but in particular, tell them what St. Patrick's are doing. Ask for support, spiritual support, which is praying for us, but also, of course, we have to ask for material support as well. You know, there are many people out there who would like to invest in the mission work, and I've seen that for myself. People who really want to help, they see pictures of South Sudan, see pictures of northern Nigeria, and they say, look, I want to help somewhere, somehow, you know. So apart from praying, what else can we do? And they say, and they offer us some money for certain projects, you know. And it's our work then to channel the resources to these projects and then bring back reports, you know. So awareness, and some people are always, some people say, look, we didn't know there was such work being done, you know. And so I think it's important to invest in creating awareness. So that's what I'm supposed to do. I'm supposed to be going to England And I must thank the English for the support they've given us over the years. Without support from England, Ireland, the US, and other countries, St. Patrick's Society would not have been able to do the good work that it has done. You know. So it's going to be my work to keep on meeting these people and encouraging them to help us, you know, the best way they can. Yeah.
Okay, Father Joseph, I pray that your new ministry will bring much fruit and that you will be blessed. And thank you so much for talking to us.
Thank you, appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks, Niall. Thank you.